Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivajapacharya Ashtatara Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivajapacharya Ashtatara Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Ṭhākura Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaiṣṇavavrinda Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, The Science of God. Starting a new chapter in our lives. Chapter 15. Instructions for civilized human beings. When did you get here, Giridhar Priya? Prabhu? Thursday night. Okay, midnight? Oh, wow. Okay. So you've been here for like about a day? A little more than a day? Okay. Yeah. All right, so we'll read the summary of chapter, or the, what would you call it? Yeah, chapter summary, okay. Was this introduced by Srila Prabhupada, the chapter summary, or did the devotees add the chapter summaries in? Or was it combined effort, or whose idea?
I think it was introduced by Prabhupada. These are all his chapter summaries.
Oh, okay.
But the thing is, we were wondering, because I don't think we had it in the first channel.
Mm-hmm.
So we were thinking of doing it. But because I
but second canto onwards, you have the chapter summaries. Not second, third canto. Okay. The summary of the 15th chapter is as follows. In the previous chapter, Sri Narada Muni proved the importance of the Brahman in society. Now, in this chapter, he will show the differences between different grades of Brahmins. Among the Brahmins, some are householders and are mostly attached to fruitive activities or the betterment of social conditions. Above them, however, are Brahmins who are very much attracted by austerities and penances and who retire from family life. They are known as vanaprasthas. Other Brahmins are very much interested in studying the Vedas and explaining the purport of the Vedas to others. Such Brahmins are called brahmacharis. And still, other Brahmins are interested in different types of yoga, especially bhakti yoga and jnana yoga. Such Brahmins are mostly sannyasis, members of the renounced order of life. As far as householders are concerned, they engage in different types of scriptural activities, especially in offering oblations to their forefathers and giving as charity to other Brahmins the paraphernalia engaged in such sacrifices. Generally, the charity is given to sannyasis, Brahmins in the renounced order of life. If such a sannyasi is not available, the charity is given to Brahmin householders engaged in fruitive activities. Shows the importance of charity because you think, okay, well, you give it to a qualified sannyasi, fine, your hard-earned money or charity or whatever you've acquired. But this is saying that if they're not available, then give them to householders who are engaged in fruitive activities. So it shows the importance of charity just to give, because the tendency is to, in the material world, is to be selfish. So the more we can give, the better. It helps get us free from that. One devotee, he's making a lot of money, and I was encouraging him to, so he doesn't get overly attached. I was saying you should give something to, and he's saying, well, I don't have any. I mean, he has some trust issues, so he said, I don't have any trust in any of the temples. I said, well, there must be one temple you have trust in, and he has his issues or whatever, but I was saying, well, there must be one devotee somewhere in the world you have trust in. Just, it's good to helps. This is what this verse is saying, or this paragraph is saying. One should not make very elaborate arrangements to perform the śrāddha ceremony of offering oblations to one's forefathers. The best process for the śrāddha ceremony is to distribute Bhagavat prasad, remnants of food that has first been offered to Krishna, to all of one's forefathers and relatives. This makes a first-class śrāddha ceremony. In the śrāddha ceremony, there is no need to offer meat or eat meat. Unnecessary killing of animals must be avoided. Those who are in lower grades of society prefer to perform sacrifices by killing animals. But one who is advanced in knowledge must avoid such unnecessary violence. So when somebody passes away, it's a common thing that like a family member passes away, mother, father, or whoever. What the relative who's still living does is they'll sponsor a feast for all the devotees. In this way, they're serving all of the devotees, and on that person's behalf, they're serving prasadam, and they get benefit, blessings. And as it's being mentioned here, no need to offer meat or eat meat. But people in lower grades of society, they do this. Like if you go around in Kolkata, it's quite ghastly, some districts of Calcutta, right outside the temple, like we have our temple here, like you can imagine on the sidewalk, right by the street here, right in front of the temple, they have a, it's very ghastly, but they have a, some type of, not a machine, but like a tool, like a, I don't know what you call it, like a chopper. Yeah, where they would put goats and things in there. So no need for all of that. take Krishna prasadam. Brahmins should execute their regulative duties in worshipping Lord Vishnu. Those who are advanced in knowledge of religious principles must avoid 5 kinds of irreligion, known as Vidharma, Paradharma, Dharma Abhas, Upadharma, and Chaladharma. One must act according to the religious principles that suit his constitutional position. It is not that everyone must adhere to the same type of religion. A general principle is that a poor man should not unnecessarily endeavor for economic development. One who refrains from such endeavors but who engages in devotional service is most auspicious. One who is not satisfied with the mind must fall to degradation. So about this person's not adhering to different types, the same type of religion, Srila Prabhupada did go to Iran. Tehran, he went there when it was legal to go there. I mean, legal to preach there. Now devotees have a hard time going there. They still go undercover sometimes, but we're hoping the country opens up. But when Srila Prabhupada went there, he had one devotee disciple named, what is his name? Treya Rishi. Yeah, Treya Rishi. And when you go to these countries, it's very common. You know, throughout the day, you'll hear at the mosque, they're doing their call to prayer, and it's very loud. They're calling over loudspeaker, and they're telling everybody come to the mosque, and it's time to pray. So Atraya Rishi, in his enthusiasm, he said, it'd be nice if we could get all of these Muslims just to more or less what he was saying was to give this up and just to chant Hare Krishna. Which of course we want people to chant Hare Krishna. And it is especially nice when persons from these countries become devotees. It's a special glory. But in this particular case, Srila Prabhupada sensed something in him. So what he said, why are you trying to make me sectarian? In other words, let them chant their prayers, that's fine. So like it's mentioning here, not everybody has to adhere to the same type of religion. One who is not satisfied with the mind must fall to degradation. One must conquer lusty desires, anger, greed, fear, lamentation, illusion, fright, unnecessary talks on material subjects, violence, the 4 miseries of material existence, and the 3 material qualities. This is the objective of human life. Like I saw like a sticker on somebody's car, I think it was yesterday, it said, sometimes I fight my demons, and sometimes I cuddle with them. That was the sticker. So I'm saying, well, at least the guy's honest, It's like, but for devotees, we want to understand, okay, what the demons are. There's demons of doubt. There's anger, greed, all these different things, fear. So we want to understand what they are and, fight them, get rid of them, not cuddle with them, not surrender to the idea, sometimes I fight them and sometimes I cuddle them, we want to get rid of them. One who has no faith in the spiritual master, who is identical with Sri Krishna, cannot get any benefit from reading scripture. One should never consider the spiritual master an ordinary human being, even though the members of the spiritual master's family may think of him as such. Meditation on other processes of austerity are useful only if they help in advancement toward Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, they are simply a waste of time and labor. For those who are not devotees, such meditation and austerity cause fall down. Every householder should be very careful because even though a householder may try to conquer the senses, he becomes a victim to the association of relatives and falls down. Just like it's very common, a satsanga tyaga e Vaiṣṇavacāra. The definition of a devotee is they give up the association of non-devotees. Now, practically, what does that mean? People have to go to work, people have to go to school, people have to associate with family members who aren't devotees. So, yes, we're very respectful. Like Srila Prabhu would say that, how do you know who your disciple is? They're a perfect gentleman or lady. But we don't take close association with them. Why is that? Because they give us bad ideas. I mean, just really bad ideas. Bad ideas, what does that mean practically? It means that things that will obstruct our spiritual... They give us ideas, and if we act on them, they will obstruct our spiritual progress. Steal away the goal of life. So therefore, we have to be very careful not to closely, let them influence us. Thus, a grihasta must become a vanaprastha or sannyasi, live in a secluded place, and be satisfied with food gotten by begging from door to door. He must chant Omkar mantra, the Omkar mantra or Hare Krishna mantra, and in this way he will perceive transcendental bliss within himself. After taking sannyas, however, if one returns to grihasta life, he is called a vantashi. Does anyone remember what that means? Yeah. Yes, it's hard to forget that. Yeah, it's a Sanskrit word. Vantashi means one who eats his own vomit. So it's very like dogs. They sometimes vomit and then they'll see if there's anything there, that they missed or wanted to. So it's kind of like that a person, they take sannyas, they renounce the world. It means they renounce family life or proprietorship or whatever it may be, and they make a vow to continue in renunciation throughout their life, but to look back, it's like that vantashi. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada would say, I guess you don't like that, huh? Therefore, Srila Prabhupada would say that he would say that whenever a sannyasi, he could relate it to brahmachari also, but whenever they go into someone's home, they should pray to Krishna that, okay, please do let me become bewildered by such opulence, the opulence of the home. Because the thoughts may come, if I would have continued like this, I could have enjoyed like this, or maybe I could go back, or something like that. So they shouldn't think like that. Such a person is shameless. A householder should not give up the ritualistic ceremonies, and a sannyasi should not live in society. If a sannyasi is agitated by the senses, he is a cheater influenced by the modes of passion and ignorance. When one assumes a role in goodness by starting philanthropic and altruistic activities, such activities become impediments on the path of devotional service. The best process for advancing in devotional service is to abide by the orders of the spiritual master. For only by his direction can one conquer the senses. Unless one is completely Krishna conscious, there is a chance of falling down. Of course, in performing ritualistic ceremonies and other fruitive activities, there is also many dangers at every moment. Fruitive activities have been divided into 12 portions. Because of performing fruitive activities, which are called the path of Dharma, one has to accept the cycle of birth and death. But when one takes the path of moksha, or liberation, which is described in Bhagavad Gita as Archana Marg, one can get relief from the cycle of birth and death. The Vedas describe these two paths as Pritiyana and Devayana. Those who follow the paths of Pritiyana and Devayana are never bewildered, even while in the material body. A monistic philosopher who gradually develops control of the senses understands that the objective of all the different ashrams, the statuses of life, is salvation. One must live and act according to Shastras. Okay, one more paragraph. If one who is performing the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies becomes a devotee, even if he is a grihasta, he can receive the causeless mercy of Krishna. The objective of a devotee is to return home, back to Godhead. Srila Prabhupada said one time he had a dream, and he said that in the dream, he was dreaming that all the devotees were chanting Hare Krishna on the streets. And then in the dream, the non-chanters became chanters. They started to chant in the dream. And then so that was pretty much the dream. And then somebody asked him, Srila Prabhupada, did any of the chanters become non-chanters? And then Srila Prabhupada said, oh, how can that be? Their name is already inscribed going back to Godhead. So, it means a gradual. Okay, so... The objective of a devotee is to return home back to Godhead. Such a devotee, even though not performing ritualistic ceremonies, advances in spiritual consciousness by the supreme will of the personality of Godhead. One may actually become successful in spiritual consciousness by the mercy of the devotees, or one may fall down from spiritual consciousness by being disrespectful to the devotees. It's interesting because one, it's like success by serving, and then it's destruction by offending. It's the same, depending on how you relate to them. They could cause either one. In this regard, Narada Muni narrated the history of how he had fallen from the Gandharva kingdom, but how he was born in a Śrūddha family. So actually, Narada Muni, he was first in Gandharva Loka, and he was singing. And why was he singing? He was singing to attract women, actually. Prabhupada tells us, or there's a story about this. A devotee in the 24-hour kirtan in Vrindavan, he was participating in the 24-hour kirtan, means living in Vrindavan, chanting in front of Krishna Balaram every day. But then at night, one time he had a dream. And in the dream, this is the last dream story I'll tell. And in the dream, he went up to Srila Prabhupada's Murti, then Srila Prabhupada, in the form of the Murti, started to speak with him. And he said, it's very nice that you're engaged in this kirtan. I'm very pleased with you. But if you continue singing to impress women, you'll go to hell. So he woke up from that dream, and you can imagine he was like really freaked out, spooked out. So here in this chapter, Narada Muni, he describes how he was a Gandharva, but he was singing for the wrong reasons, and he was cursed. He fell down to become a son of a maidservant. That's what we hear of generally in the Bhagavatam. That's when we think of Narada Muni. But there was a life before that. So it was in Gandharva Loka, and then went down to the son of a Shudrani, and then became Narada Muni. Very interesting. And how by serving exalted Brahmins he become. All right, excuse me. It says become here. Yeah. Yeah. He became the son of Lord Brahma and was reinstated in his transcendental position. After narrating all these stories, Narada Muni praised the mercy received from the Lord by the Pandavas. Maharaj Yudhishthira, after hearing from Narada, became ecstatic in love of Krishna, and then Narada Muni left that place and returned to his own place. Thus Shukadeva Goswāmī, having described various descendants of the daughters of Daksha, ends the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Text 1's on the board? Okay, if everybody could please repeat after me. Shri Narada Uvacha Karma Nishta Dvijaha Kechit Tapo Nishta Nirpapare Svadhyaye. How do you say that one? Anye Pravachane Kechana Jnana Yogayoho. Shri Narada Uvacha Karma Nishtha Dvija Kechit Tapo Nishtha Nirpapare Sadhyayenye Pravachane Kechana Jnana Yogayoho. Shri Narada Uvacha Karma Nishtha Dvija Kechit Tapo Nishtha Nirpapare Svadhyayenye Pravachane Kechana Jnana Yogayoho. Shri Narada Uvacha Karma Nishtha Dvija Kechit Tapo Nishtha Nirpapare Svadhyayenye Pravachane Kechana Jnana Yogayoho. Shri Narada Uvacha. Narada Muni said, Karma Nishtaha, attached to ritualistic ceremonies, according to one's social status as a Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra. Dvijaha, the twice born, especially the Brahmins. Kechit, some. Tapa Nishtaha, very much attached to austerities and penances. Nipa, O king. Apare, others. Svadhyaye, in studying Vedic literature. Anye, others. Pravachane, delivering speeches on Vedic literature. Kechana, some. Jnana-yoga-yoho, in culturing knowledge and practicing Bhakti Yoga. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Purport. Narada Muni continued, my dear king, some Brahmins are very much attached to fruitive activities, some are attached to austerities and penances, and still others study the Vedic literature, whereas some, although very few, cultivate knowledge and practice different yogas, especially Bhakti Yoga. Text 2. A person desiring liberation for his forefathers or himself should give charity to a Brahmin who adheres to impersonal monism, Jnana-kāṇḍa. In the absence of such an advanced Brahmin, charity may be given to a Brahmin addicted to fruitive activities, karma-kāṇḍa. Purport. There are two processes by which to get free from material bondage. One involves jñāna-kāṇḍa and karma-kāṇḍa, and the other involves upasana-kāṇḍa. Vaishnavas never want to merge into the existence of the Supreme, rather they want to be everlastingly servants of the Lord to render loving service unto Him. In this verse, the words anantyam ichita refers to persons who desire to achieve liberation from material bondage and merge into the existence of the Lord. Devotees, however, whose objective is to associate personally with the Lord, have no desire to accept the activities of karma-kāṇḍa or jnana-kāṇḍa, for pure devotional service is above both karma-kāṇḍa and jnana-kāṇḍa. Anya bilashita shunyam jnana-karmadyan avritam. In pure devotional service, there is not even a pinch of jnana or karma. Consequently, when Vaishnavas distribute charity, they do not need to find a Brahmin performing the activities of jnana-kāṇḍa or karma-kāṇḍa. The best example in this regard is provided by Advaita Gosvāmī, who, after performing the śrāddha ceremony for his father, offered charity to Haridāsa Ṭhākura. Although it was known to everyone that Haridāsa Ṭhākura was born in a Mohammedan family, not a Brahmin family, and was not interested in activities of jnana-kāṇḍa or karma-kāṇḍa. Charity, therefore, should be given to the first-class transcendentalist, the devotee, because the Shastras recommend muktanam apisiddhanam narayana parayanaha sudurlabha prashantatma kotishvapi mahamune. O great sage, among many millions who are liberated and perfect in knowledge of liberation, one may be a devotee of Lord Narayan or Krishna. Such devotees, who are fully peaceful, are extremely rare. Some Bhagavatam 6.14.5. A Vaishnava is in a higher position than a jnani, and therefore Advaita Acharya selected Haridāsa Ṭhākura to be the person to accept his charity. The Supreme Lord also says, Name bhaktash chaturvedi madbhakta svapachat priyaha tasmai deyam tato grayam sacha pujo yatahyaham. Even though a person is a very learned scholar of the Sanskrit Vedic literatures, he is not accepted as my devotee unless he is pure in devotional service. However, even though a person is born in a family of dog-eaters, he is very dear to me if he is a pure devotee who has no motive to enjoy fruitive activity or mental speculation. Indeed, all respect should be given to him, and whatever he offers should be accepted. Such devotees are as worshipable as I am. Hari Bhakti Vilas 10.127. Therefore, even if not born in a Brahmin family, a devotee, because of his devotion to the Lord, is above all kinds of Brahmins, whether they be karma-kāṇḍis or jnana-kāṇḍis. In this regard, it may be mentioned that Brahmins in Vrindavan, who are karma-kāṇḍis and jnana-kāṇḍis, sometimes decline to accept invitations to our temple, because our temple is known as the Angareji temple, or Angelican temple. But in accordance with the evidence given in the Shastra and the example set by Advaita Acharya, we give prasad to devotees regardless of whether they come from India, Europe, or America. It is a conclusion of the Shastra that instead of feeding many jnana-kāṇḍi or karma-kāṇḍi Brahmins, it is better to feed a pure Vaishnava regardless of where he comes from. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.30. Apichet sadarachayo bhajate mam ananyabhak sadar eva samantavya samyag vyavasito hisaha. Even if one commits the most abominable actions, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated. Thus, it doesn't matter whether a devotee comes from a Brahmin family or a non-Brahmin family. If he is fully devoted to Krishna, he is a sadhu. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshulamaditam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Kariduachalam Pangam Langate Girim Yakipatamaham Vande Shri Gurundinitaranam Pancha Kapadribishta Kripasandibevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaiṣṇavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the Brahman, the verse is describing, these verses are going to be talking a lot about Brahmins and charity and the different ashrams and so on, like we're reading in the chapter summary. And Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport that it is much more beneficial to serve, and in this case it's mentioning feed, a pure devotee of Krishna rather than a ritualistic Brahmin whose aim and whose mood is not pure devotional service. Even if a ritualistic Brahmin was born in a very nice family, Vedic family, Suchi family, clean family. If they're not pure devotees, it is better to serve a pure devotee who was born in a family of dog eaters. Now that's a very low birth, dog eaters. But actually, to be born in any family that eats meat is actually not a high birth. But the Hari Bhakti Vilas, as we just read, that this particular verse is saying that Krishna speaking in this verse that a person, even if they're born in a low family, if they come to the platform of pure devotion, they should be given all respect, and they are they should be considered as worshipable as I am, Krishna says. And the Nectar of Instruction mentions how a learned person will bathe in the Ganga despite the condition of it. So there might be foam or mud or other things. Oh, corpses, Triveda Prabhu said, okay. Yeah, some devotees have that experience, like a corpse of an animal or something floating. I never had that experience, but devotees have told me. But the Ganga is pure. It's coming from originally from the heavenly planets, but then it's washed the feet of Vamana Dev. So it's a purified, most purifying river. So a learned person will bathe in that river, despite whatever the condition of it is externally. Similarly, a learned person will properly respect, properly see a devotee, despite their being born in a low family, or mentions different seemingly disqualifications of the body, of the mind, whatever. If they're a pure devotee, then their association should be accepted. And Srila Prabhupada describes in that purport that one shouldn't have a material mentality and think, he specifically mentions the title of a Goswami. So one shouldn't think, oh, this is an Indian Goswami, and this is an American Goswami, and this is a Chinese Goswami. One should think that one should see them as devotees, not that one's lower than the other. If they become qualified, they're qualified, despite their background. So that's being mentioned here. And Srila Prabhupada's also mentioning how in Vrindavan his experience was that many of these devotees and Brahmins and so on, they didn't want to come to Krishna Balaram temple, and specifically they didn't want to take any food cooked by the Western devotees, because they were thinking, oh, they're from a lower background, and we only take from certain persons who were born in a good family, and so on. So yeah, this is a wrong understanding. And we see in Chaitanya Charitamrita that there were many supposedly qualified Brahmins around, but Advaita Acharya, who did he give the offering to? He gave it to Haridāsa Ṭhākura. And some people really didn't like that. They hated that. But he gave it to Haridāsa Ṭhākura. Although Haridāsa Ṭhākura was born in a Muslim family, which, Vedically it's considered a lower birth. So in this way we could see by analyzing scripture and by analyzing what Krishna says himself, that we shouldn't take a person's birth into account in relation to them being pure or not. One could become a pure devotee no matter what their birth is. Once, it's a common story, but once Srila Prabhupada's disciples, they were in Vrindavan, and they went to one temple. I believe they were sannyasis. They went to a temple, and they were before the deity of Krishna. So many deities of Krishna there in Vrindavan. So they were praying before the deity, and then the pujari came out. And the pujari, he told them that, oh, it's very nice that you've started to practice Krishna consciousness, and that you're here in Vrindavan, and that you're taking darshan of Krishna. It's very nice. And if you continue to do this, then in your next birth, you'll take birth here in Vrindavan, and you could become a pujari, and you could serve the deity directly. So devotees, it didn't seem that they thought much of it, but then they went back and they told Srila Prabhupada what the pujari said. And Prabhupada wasn't happy. He said, you should have told that pujari that it's very nice that you're worshipping the deity here of Krishna in Vrindavan. And if you continue this, that in your next birth, you'll take birth in America, and you'll be able to preach in America. You'll be able to join the Sankirtan movement in America. So that's what Prabhupada said you should have told him. So Srila Prabhupada is putting a great importance and a great, he's highlighting the fortune of those who have the opportunity to be preaching in America and spreading Krishna consciousness. It's a wonderful way to get Krishna's mercy. Because by approaching persons who are like Jaga and Madhe, which Jaga and Madhe are very sinful people, very fallen people, by approaching persons like that, then we get the mercy of Lord Nityananda. And by getting the mercy of Lord Nityananda, who is the foremost preacher in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement, the foremost devotee, preacher, indiscriminately giving Krishna consciousness to everyone, despite whatever their background is. Most merciful Lord Nityananda. If we approach Jaga and Madhe, then we get the mercy of Lord Nityananda. And Srila Prabhupada was in the mood of Lord Nityananda in that he was giving mercy without discrimination to everybody, freely. So we'll please Lord Nityananda, get his mercy, and then we'll get the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then by getting the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then we could approach Radha Giridhari, we could approach Radha Krishna. But that's the process. So, and lastly, Srila Prabhupada quotes, which is interesting, it's an interesting verse. Prabhupada actually quoted a number of times. He would quote this verse describing who a sadhu is. So sometimes you would think that you would quote verses like Tatikshava, Karunaka, sadhu is very tolerant, very merciful, friendly, and so on. Or you'd quote from the Bhagavad, or you'd quote like the 26 qualities of a devotee from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Generally, you'd think you would quote this when describing a devotee, but Srila Prabhupada would quote this verse often, Apichet Siddharachayo Bhajate Mama Nanya Bhak, describing who is a devotee. And he does it right here too. In this verse, even if one commits the most abominable actions, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated. So in other words, even if there are some mistakes, if a person's determined to continue in Krishna consciousness and determined to serve Krishna in an honest way, like as Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport of Apichet Siddharachayo, that this can't be used to cheat. Like one devotee, he was falling off the path, and it became very clear that he was off the path. But devotees would sometimes joke that, oh, this is so-and-so's favorite verse. Apichet Siddharachayo, they just quote this verse all the time. So they're using it in a cheating way. But if one is sincere and honest, and they're determined to serve Krishna, then even though there may be some mistakes, they're considered to be saintly. And it doesn't matter if they're born in a Brahmin family or non-Brahmin family. If they're devoted to Krishna, then they're a sadhu or sadhvi, saintly. Sadhu, male, and sadhvi, saintly, female. Kapila Dev called his mother Devahuti sadhvi. So, is there any question? Or yes, Matthias? Oh, that's pretty quick. You raised your hand quick.
Hare Krishna, thank you for the class. In the summary of the 15th chapter, it says that the path of Dharma leads to cycle of birth and death. But isn't like our Dharma, like we're supposed to get closer to Krishna?
Yeah, well, there's different definitions. As it's being mentioned here, there's paradharma, upadharma, chaladharma. So there's all these dharmas which Srila Prabhupada doesn't describe in the summary, but it'll definitely be described in the verses and the purports. Or kaitava dharma. Kaitava dharma means cheating dharma. You're just after material things and in the name of God worship, but actually you love material things more than God. You're just in it to get the material things. So it's not pure. So these type of dharmas, which will be described in this chapter, they lead to the cycle of birth and death. In other words, they're not processes that bring us to perfection. But Sanatan Dharma, the eternal Dharma of the soul, Dharma means the essence of something, like the Dharma of a chili. I think we'll know soon. Breakfast. Yeah. We have our Kanai Balai, he uses chilies. Srila Prabhupada also liked chilies, by the way. But the Dharma of a chili is to be hot. It has to be spicy. If you bite into a chili, you're like, hey, that's not a chili. Where's the spice? So the Dharma of sugar is to be sweet. So in this way, everything has a Dharma. So we also have a Dharma. Our Dharma is to serve. We have to serve others. And ultimately, the supreme Dharma, Sanatana Dharma, is the function of the soul is to serve Krishna. So that leads to perfection, but these other Dharmas don't.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, Veer Chandra.
Thank you for the class. You mentioned some dreams, and I have a question. And the second dream, Srila Prabhupada chastises the devotee who singing Hare Krishna in 24-hour kirtan, but singing for attract woman.
Yeah.
And he told that if you continue, then you go to hell. And But
You're wondering, is that true?
it is no, but it is known that devotees who chant Hare Krishna, that Yamaraj don't come to them.
Yeah. Okay. So if Prabhupada said that you'll go to hell, so how does that work? Because there's also this idea that if you chant Hare Krishna, Yamaraj doesn't come, right? So how did those two balance each other? Well, I mean, the thing is, I think Dravida Prabhu has something. Yes, please.
Well, I can easily visualize what will happen. So he's chanting, and Prabhupada could see, well, okay, maybe it'll work. And some, lady will come and sit down next to him or something. He'll sense that and so then they'll, get married and so. But then he'll stop chanting. The point is that there was a motivated reason for chanting. He achieved his goal. He attracted the lady. So now he's finished chanting. Once he stopped chanting, then you're not protected. Yeah, you're not protected by not seeing Yama. So that's the way I understand. Probably could see that the whole syndrome was going to end inauspiciously.
Yeah, it could. It just goes down like a downward spiral. And also, you could say, what is the definition of hell? If the definition of hell is that you have no interest in Krishna consciousness, you have no association of devotees, you fall down into eating meat and all these things, that is hellish. That is hell, actually. To have no interest, you're being punished by material nature. Or as like Narottam Das Thakur would say, at the end of one of his songs, he said, I'm being punished by Yamaraj. By not taking interest in the Hare Krishna movement, being punished by Yamaraj. So like that, it could lead to that. Of course, it's not eternal. There's not eternal damnation, as we know, but it could lead to hellish conditions.
And
I think Bajranayan Swami had something about this.
I think your answer was very good. We have the example of Jad Bharat becoming a deer.
Yeah.
So it's not that, hey, I chanted Hare Krishna, everything is a smooth, I can do any damn thing, and Yamaraj won't come, Krishna can sometimes be even heavier on devotees than on the materialist. Krishna wants to get us back to Godhead. So we shouldn't just think it's a free skate. You can become like a deer. I would call that a pretty hellish. I mean, they can't take a shower and take nice prasadam, and it's a pretty rough condition. So I would take it like that. Also, Prabhupada often spoke in hyperbole, a shocking statement just to wake us up, because we're, there it is. If we're thinking that, well, I chanted Hare Krishna and everything's going to be fine. No. You can go to hell. Yamaraj can, and Yamaraj's business, the whole business of the material world is to purify us. Prabhupada said and I'll be finished, one of the reasons three reasons devotees suffered. Prabhupada said to set an example for the materialists as a token reaction for past misdeeds. And then Prabhupada said the third reason is sometimes Krishna gives us a good kick. Don't stay here. So, to make us a deer, or who was it, Yudhisthira Maharaj, saw the hellish planets, just to give us a good kick in the pants. Don't stay here. Krishna can put us in very hellish conditions. So it's not an easy guaranteed skate and everything's just fine. Krishna will give you a good kick in the pants. Don't stay here.
Kick on the
second related question. If we make some service but have some different goals, like motives, like something. This is like also to be punished.
Well, I mean, Krishna is kind, and he understands that, okay, when somebody comes to Krishna consciousness, they're not going to have pure motives. But the idea is that when the person associates with Krishna and associates with the devotees, and those become purified. That's the idea. Now, if somebody is so adamant of wanting Krishna to fulfill the material desires, Krishna may fulfill those desires in such a way as you never want him again. In other words, there's a flip side to the coin. But you have many cases where people come with wrong desires and they become purified. So that's not, like you have Prabhu to tell the story of thief who came to see Krishna, right, Sreshwar? You know that one? He heard that Krishna had all types of nice rings and earrings and jewelry, very expensive, right? So the thief said, okay, let me go out and to the forest. I'm going to find Krishna and I'm going to steal it from him. So he went out to the forest and he found Krishna. And Krishna was there decorated with all of these very expensive jewelry. And the thief apparently was a pious thief. So he said, he didn't just take it, but he said, can I have those? And then Krishna said no, and then the
mother will be very upset.
And the thief said, well, why not? And then Krishna said, well, because my mother will be unhappy with me, so she'll be upset. So you can't take them. But just by seeing Krishna, by associating with Krishna, he became purified. He became a devotee. So, yeah. All right, I think we could stop there. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.